It's good morning, Andrea Rowe. Welcome to Yellow Shelf again.
Thanks for having me back.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I know we spoke earlier this year, but you're back with two books this time. Congratulations. You have been super busy, so much going on, which we'll touch on a bit later. But congratulations. Let's first of all talk about dogs with jobs.
Oh, I'm so excited about this book because it's a slight step away from my usual fiction writing. This is my first non-fiction kids book, and this is written for the kind of the 5 to 12-year-old reader that loves facts and information and dogs. And it's a wonderful celebration of all the ways dogs help humanity and the environment. And I've loved the whole researching of dogs with jobs, but also understanding the whole part of nonfiction writing is you think you go in with an idea of something and then you learn more as you go along, and that excites you about the story as well. So, Dogs with Jobs was written really, it came from the idea of we're seeing so many dogs in workplaces now, and we're seeing dogs, we've got story dogs in libraries, we've got therapy dogs in schools, we've got detection dogs helping, solve crimes, but also resolve issues as well. And so many dogs around. And I thought, look, I'm curious to know, how are they trained? What sort of breeds get these jobs? What they're actually doing. So I kind of went down that rabbit hole with the dogs, and I've had the best of time. And it's a jam-packed, almost 50-page picture book that really just covers everything from, coast dogs, or dogs that are in charge of sniffing out weevils in artworks in art galleries, or guide dogs who help people navigate their way through their workday, and of course our beautiful working dogs and muster dogs. But the
Yeah.
wonderful thing about this book is I've worked with a brand new illustrator called Julia Murray.
Yes.
She's from New Zealand, and her artwork is just divine.
Mm.
And the movement and the personality she's put in these dogs has been an absolute joy. And I'm really hoping Dogs with Jobs is going to be the book for that kid that maybe also is a reluctant reader, that
Yeah.
doesn't really want to reach for a book, that maybe just being interested in dogs enough is for them to go, I might give this book a go. And then I've got some facts as a young reader that now I know. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's been a lovely honour to write this book.
Yeah, and when I was looking at the book, I think it inspires that curiosity, even if you don't have a dog, on how dogs can make an impact, and it's so informative. So I figure you've researched pretty hard on this.
Oh, it was a year and a half of writing and research and confession. I have no dog in my life. My brother has had many dogs. Many of my family members have had dogs in farm life as well. But I meet a lot of dogs, and particularly when I go to schools, but also, in bookstores, I meet dogs, libraries, I meet dogs. So I think that fascination was, what is it about a dog that helps us sometimes still or focus, but also what is it in a dog that they've been given amazing jobs where they can search for kind of a rare fox in the
Yeah.
Nevadas of America? Why are we giving these jobs to dogs? And it sort of took me down that path too. Yeah, it's been a
Yeah.
great writing exercise.
Oh, so good. Because I'm a dog fan. I think most people listening know that. So it's great to see dogs and getting exposure as well. Because and I
Yeah.
love the fact that you're not a dog owner. I think that's just
Well, I
fabulous.
think that perhaps fed my curiosity as well. And look, I could happily own a dog tomorrow now, and possibly I might have to be on the radar now. But I have
Yeah.
really enjoyed, even through the process, starting to look at dogs differently and
Yeah.
understand how their nose works, understand their resilience and their aptitudes. And I spend a lot of time in the book also talking about the makeup of a dog,
Yeah.
and how they have these incredible superpowers as well.
Yeah.
So, they are sort of top CEOs, these heroic hounds, and it's been great. But it has fed my, as a children's picture book author, it has now fed my interest in writing more nonfiction. I'm
Okay.
currently working on another nonfiction with Julia Murray again,
Oh,
because
yes.
my background has been as a journalist and a
Yeah.
copywriter. So I've always been a person that has had to seek the facts,
Yeah.
develop a palatable piece of writing that someone comes away with knowing something about. So it's kind of really appealed to that part of my professional background and career.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I hope the kids love it mainly.
Oh, I have no doubt. And I know that there will be nieces in my world who'll probably get the book for Christmas because it's perfect timing in the lead up to this season where you buy books for kids. And I think that's beautiful. Let's
Yeah.
move on to your second book that's also out at the same time. So, complementary, busy writing that you've been doing. Talk us through Castle Crashing. Tell us all about this one.
I know, I'm so hogging the limelight with two books out on the same day. It's ridiculous. But this is another book out with Hardy Grant, my publisher as well. But Castle Crashing is the third in a series of, most people know my book, Jetty Jumping,
Yes.
which won the Picture Book of the Year a couple of
Yeah.
years ago, and then the Speech Pathology book. And I mean, seriously, it's been an honour that it's become a book that Australians love, and I could never have foreseen that. And Hannah Sommerville, my beautiful illustrator,
Yeah.
and I have been so honoured and humbled. But when we worked through sort of saying, let's look at bringing the kids back, we then wrote Sunday Skating, which again has been well loved by particularly the kids that love the wheels. And we sort of felt like the time was right to bring the kids back again. So Castle Crashing really is a return right down onto the beach. Sunday Skating, we were kind of skirting around the beach on our
Yeah.
skates and skateboards. Castle Crashing is the same characters, the same five characters that we meet in Jetty Jumping and Sunday Skating, and they're back. They're having an adventure over summer right down on the beach. You can deduce from the title, Castle, that it's about sand castles. And it's really about a couple of things. It's about that competitive and collaborative nature of building sandcastles, but it's also a book for that kid who likes to be in charge and likes things to go their way. And what happens when things don't go their way? Or what happens when the gang of friends is not listening to them? And, we've all been in that space as kids or adults where we're either that person or we're interacting with that person. And there's that sort of sensitive dance around of, how we all compromise.
Yeah.
And so this is Bonnie's story, the character of Bonnie.
Mhm.
And she's the kid that builds sandcastles best. There is no doubt about it. Bonnie is the master castle maker.
Yeah.
So this is what happens when the kids aren't listening to you and what happens when you boil over. And Bonnie does boil over in a spectacular way. So it's that whole mood, that mood crash
Yeah.
that kids sometimes have. And how do you come back from that? Like all of us, we do
Yeah.
this. How do we come back from when we explode or we just collapse or something happens? Where's that start again point and that reset? And I've really enjoyed writing this story in that every story in this series, so there's 3 books so far with Hannah Somerville, and every book has explored a different child's personality and a different child's discovery about themselves.
Yeah.
And again, with their friends around them, with that supportive friendship.
Yeah.
And I've really, I guess, really been compelled to think about each individual child
Yeah.
and how they find their way through challenges in
Yeah.
life. And so Bonnie, I think, is a little bit of me. So I've thought a
Yeah.
lot about her because Bonnie does like things a certain way, and
Yeah.
so do I. And so it probably was a very personal book. But
Yeah.
in saying that, I think all 3 books have felt personal.
Yeah.
But I do have a very big soft spot for Bonnie because
Yes.
I understand when you're feeling like you need
Yeah.
to see the world in a certain way,
Yeah.
and how you work in with each other. And
Yeah.
so I'm hoping this book is going to be. I've just finished touring for Book Week, which for many Australian authors in the kids
Yes.
sector is book term really.
Yeah.
And I've just finished that, and I've sort of been showing it to a few educators along the way, and I can see this sort of very firm nodding of teachers
Yeah.
saying, "Oh, we've got one of those kids in our class," or "This book," and they're saying it in a way of this book, we need this book, or this book's helpful because every kid needs to be represented in the books that we're sharing in class. So I feel happy that this might be a book that's going to be useful for grown-ups to
Yeah.
help a child
Yeah.
see themselves. And no spoilers. It gives Bonnie a chance to sort of understand and have some self resetting, but also to move forward with friends as well. And
Yeah. And
I
Andrew,
think,
what I was thinking about was, we've all been either that parent of Bonnie or that parent of Bonnie's friendship. So you observe this as a parent, and it's a really powerful resource, your book, on how kids can work through it. So well done.
yeah, and I think it's the one thing that sometimes you don't anticipate when you first set out writing that your books, particularly with kids' books, that your books might become a resource that
Yes.
people are looking to for guidance or just that additional support on the bookshelf.
Yeah.
And I'm several books in now. I've had several conversations with educators and parents, and I'm I don't intentionally set out to say this book is going to be this,
Yeah.
education support, but I obviously have a kind of a reset in my writing where I start sort of straying into that area without it being didactic or really teachery, because no kid wants a book that's going to tell them how to
Yeah.
do it
Well,
and
you do
all
that
the
so
rules.
cleverly. Beautiful illustrations. It's yet again another wonderful book. So I'm super excited to support. Andrea, do you want to tell us what's been going on for you? You're writing. Did I hear correctly that you've got more books coming out next year? Like you're really busy, obviously on the back end of book term with the school system. So tell us what you've been doing and anything we need to know about you if we're a first time listener and connecting with Andrea.
Well, I'm spending a lot of time, obviously, talking about the current books coming up. But I've
Yeah.
always got several books on the go well in advance. So I think I've got 3 to 4 books a year for the next several years coming out,
Wow.
which is just wonderful to know that I've written books that will find their place in someone's hands and bookshelves. I'm spending a lot of time thinking about what are parents talking about, what are the conversations happening around families at the moment. Where's
Yeah.
a book that what is a book or a character that I've maybe had in my drawer that I've been tinkering around with for years, or maybe it's just come to me that's about time it needs to sort of come to light. So right now I'm writing another non-fiction book, an animal book. I'll share the details soon with Julia Murray, but can I just say to you, I have learned a lot of information about animals as doubles. That's all I'll say.
Fabulous.
And but I'm loving that kind of element. But then I'm back to a lot of fiction writing.
Yes.
Um, I've spent a lot of time thinking about stories that kids also love. And one thing that is my default setting is I love writing a book with that kind of interactive energy. So there might be a couple of phrases, or there might be that read aloud
Yeah.
vibrancy that I love. So I've got some fun read aloud books that I know are going to be great. There's a fantastic one coming out next year called The Everyday Tutu, which was the Hardy Grant Little Hair Illustrator Prize.
Mm.
So that gives a new illustrator, and in
Yeah.
this instance, Tess Moe is her name, a chance to have a publishing contract and to write one of my manuscripts. So I'm looking forward to that because it's a
Yeah.
book that has given someone else that career
Yeah.
step. As well as it's a fun story about that little kid that is obsessed with wearing the same tutu every day that it drives the family crazy. And
Yeah.
I've got a book out about a Australian Melbourne icon called Audrey Skips, and that's next February. And that's a book about looking up and seeing history and what the
Okay.
stories that our history can tell. Except there's a twist. I am reinventing
Oh, we love a
that
twist.
a little bit.
We love
So
a twist.
that's about Melbourne skipping girl. So I'm looking forward. And in between it all, I was really honoured this year to be given the opportunity to become Victoria's first library ambassador by the Minister Nick Stakos for local government.
Yeah.
And that role is about, so Victoria's never had a library ambassador before.
Ah.
And I'm being told recently I'm Australia's first official library ambassador, so I didn't realise that. But that's about championing and advocating for the places that we go to, the
Yes.
libraries, for information, community gathering, literacy connection, and all of the other elements of life that help fill us up and connect us with each other. So I'm touring lots of libraries,
Yeah.
speaking to lots of people about why libraries matter. Hopefully, in there, that can actually help encourage further conversations about resourcing libraries,
Yeah.
and about looking at libraries for the future, what our library spaces are going to be, and what we need them to be in
Yeah.
changing society as well. So it's been a look. I'm a library kid from
Yeah.
toddler, so I'm talking about my safe and sacred spaces.
Yes.
But I'm also learning a lot about why they are those places for
Yeah.
so many other people as well, whether it's a multicultural community, whether it's someone that needs extra support in their life. It's quite incredible. So that's going on. And
Yeah. Wow.
I'm
Andrea.
working in a little
Wow.
bookstore as a children's bookseller in
Oh,
between the cracks of life as well. So
oh,
that's
wow.
my local little town in Sorrento. Antipodes Bookstore is a little place where we have a tiny little children's area downstairs, and well, it's not that tiny actually, and it's a place, I call it my playground, and it's a
Yeah.
place where I can really focus on putting the best books in a kid's hands that they just have to read.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm I've loved practicing or sort of putting together what I know about so many other storytellers, because kids' books are my happy place,
Yes.
and I adore Australian literature, and particularly contemporary literature. And I really want kids to know who they need to read.
Yeah.
I understand where they're at in life, so that's been super super fulfilling, really.
Yeah. Look, I'll put a link in the show notes to Sorrento because it is a beautiful part of the world for anyone watching and the bookstore. Tell us, how do we connect with you and then hence connect with the books, Andrea? If we're watching,
Sure.
we're curious, we want to buy the book, we want to get to know more, point us in the
Oh, and
direction of your socials.
And thanks for everyone who does want to do that. I really appreciate that. I'm on andrearowe.com.au, and all of my socials. So Instagram is Andrea Rowe underscore coastwriter, or you'll find me at Andrea Rowe, I think at .au, and all the other socials as well. So I'm pretty easy to find, and you'll see me swanning about. And most importantly, if someone does see me at a library or a bookstore, I love having a conversation and understanding what kids' books means to them as well.
Yeah.
So I'm more than happy to have a chat face to face.
I love that you're inspiring the next generation of readers and even writers. So well done, Andrea. I desperately want you to come back each time you release a book. It's so great to support you. And thank you for joining us today.
Oh, I love hanging out in the yellow shelf. Thank you.
Cheers, Andrea.
Thanks.